Welcome to the Football Historian Podcast.
By all means, enjoy it.
He will go right to the very top.
Dos, tres, cuatro times.
Here we go, Germans.
I will turn these results round.
All right, that's good manners.
There's animosity, but there's no fight.
If you can't beat them, join them.
How do you make me feel sick if I look at you?
No, I want to fight here.
Don't drink, don't sleep with women, don't drive fast cars.
Sometimes it may be good, sometimes it may be shit too!
Hello, welcome to the Football Historian Podcast. Today I'm delighted to be joined by Lee Peltier. Thanks very much for coming in.
No problem.
Obviously, a lot of people know you from your career, and we're going to try and talk through it all today before going on to football history, and settling some debates as we always do. First one, obviously being brought up in Liverpool, making your name at Liverpool. How good was that to do that at your club?
I know it's a bit cliche, but dream come true for me as a kid. Always dreamed of playing for Liverpool, being a footballer, and my dreams come true.
And what age, did you get picked up by the academy?
It's funny because I started football kind of late. I played for a team called St Michael's Sunday League, but I was only with them for about 6 months, and then I got picked up from Tranmere. I must have been about 10 when I got picked up by Tranmere, and I must have spent 6-7 months there, and then a few clubs must have seen me playing for Tranmere and come in for me.
Yeah, and then Liverpool fan as a kid.
Yeah.
So the first time you wear the badge, even as a youngster, is it still special, and did it ever wear off, that feeling?
Oh, it was unbelievable. Even when I first went there, I can still remember it like it was yesterday. They took me and my mum down to Melwood and introduced us to all the players and stuff like that. And as a Liverpool fan, as I say, that was like a massive thing for me. And then obviously signing for the club. I remember I had one game before I signed. It was against West Ham at Melwood. And I remember the kit getting given to me and putting it on, and it was just unbelievable feeling.
Yeah, and then I think it's 06-07 when you make your 4 appearances, but I think a lot of people will fast forward the middle bit.
Yeah.
How hard is it to go from under 18s, under 19s reserve player? How hard are those steps, and like how many of your friends do you lose along the way as well whilst doing that?
Oh yeah, it's so hard, as you know, all the percentages that go round at the minute of how many lads from the academies make it into the first team and stuff like that. So they're facts. So it is very difficult. But for me, fortunately, I was lucky enough to make it all the way through from under 11s at Liverpool, under 10, 11. I joined at Liverpool and went all the way through each age group and then into the reserves, and then obviously on into the first team. For me, it was, when I look back at it now, it's a massive achievement when I see, as you said then, all the players that you lose on the way, friends. You become really close to people, coaches, and all different type of things that you have to go through. It's a bumpy journey, as you say. There's highs and lows, and as I say, yeah, I'm just fortunate to make it through.
Yeah, and then we'll go on to the games that you're playing. But Rafa Benitez was the manager when you got your break in the team. It was quite a transitional period, maybe a couple of years before you came in, when he came and took over from Gerard Houllier. I think a lot of Gerard, Carragher, Murphy, Owen, all them all say how much of a father figure Houllier was, and I've been lucky enough to have quite a few of players who have played for Liverpool under Rafa, and I'll be honest with you, I haven't heard many good words about him. So do you somewhat regret that you couldn't have played under Houllier, or do you, obviously you're thankful for how Rafa was before we speak about what he was like?
A little bit, yeah. I agree with you. And then even after Rafa, I think it was, who was it that went in after Rafa? Was it Hodgson?
Yeah, so Hodgson and then Kenny, then Rodgers.
Hodgers. And I think through that period, a lot of young players come through. Your Martin Kellys, your Connor Codys and Jay Spearings and all them lot from the academy. But my period in with Rafa was a lot of foreign influence, even coming into the academy. So in the reserve teams, they were buying a lot of players from Spain and stuff like that to filter out, to build the team. And we had players from Austria, we had players from Hungary, all over the place. So it was quite saturated with foreign players. So yeah, I agree with what you say. I think with Rafa, it was a different sort of influence on Liverpool than what Houllier and Hodgson and players like that had.
Yeah, and then so just Rafa as a person, obviously you're there. That season, 06-07 was like your big season when you play your most games. what's he like day in, day out? Is he talking to you? Is he coaching you? Or is that more the players? Or is it his coaching staff? Or
no, not really. Didn't really interact with them at all, really. Obviously, when you're training, you stand on the side and shout whatever he needed to shout, or team talks or whatever. But other than that, because I went around it that a lot, I was only at training and stuff like that. You didn't really, you could go in, train, and you had a guy called Alex, and the guy at Aston Villa now, who's the assistant manager. Acho, yeah, they were his men there, and they used to do everything. And he was very quiet in terms of standoffish, sort of not really engaging with anyone. So didn't really have any sort of relationship for him. But listen, I'm grateful to him for giving me debut and giving me a chance in the team.
Yeah, and then obviously you worked under managers that Neil Warnock probably be the most famous, who I'm guessing is the total opposite of that.
Yeah.
So not just for you, but for most players, what approach do you think's better? Because I think Gerrard even said he didn't know if Rafa liked him, and no offence to you or anyone, but Gerrard's one of the best players ever. Yeah. So for him, maybe that got more out of Gerrard because he was thinking, I need to impress him. Yeah. So would that maybe work at the higher level players, and maybe in the Championship you need someone who puts your arm around you, or is it just different managers get the best out of different players?
Different managers get the best out of different players. But listen, as a player, there's one thing that I liked as a player from my manager was just clarity and honesty. And you talk about your Neil Warnocks and Slaven Bilic's who are put up there in them sort of brackets. Chris Wilder, they're all honest. Like, with me, they were. I can only talk about my own experience. And for me, at least, you know where you stand. You know, you're not getting told any sort of lies to cover over the cracks or anything like that, which happens a lot in football. So for me, I had my most success with managers that were more man managers for the players, and I seen what it's done within the squad and within the club, and if I was a manager, that's the way I would go. Yeah. The
honesty, I think a lot of people say it's the most important thing in football, and obviously in life as well. But we'll talk about the 4 games that you played. Yeah. I think it's all 4 in cups. One's the Champions League, 2 at Anfield, 1's away. Obviously, I'll ask about all of them individually. But what's like the stand-up memory for you? If you think about your Liverpool career, what's the first thing that comes to mind?
Honestly, it was just, I remember playing against, I think it was Reading, and I cut my eye in the first half. And I've still got obviously a big scar, and I had to go off and get stitches and all that. And that's one of my memories of playing. Obviously walking out to Anfield, my mum, my family and all that being so excited that I was about to make me debut for the first team. All my mates and just the buzz around it when it's all, because I'm a Liverpool lad, and all my mates and that wanted to go to the game and stuff like that. It was just the build up to it was more so than the actual match, because all my family, my friends and all that were just so excited. And then actually to walk down the tunnel onto the pitch I'll never forget it. And it's one thing that nobody can ever take away from me, and whether it was 1 game or 4 games or 400 games, I've done it. So nobody can ever take that away from me, and I'm so proud of that.
Yeah, but I think a lot of fans would take the right arm off to it, and maybe you look back with be thankful you got that scar, because you can always say, how'd you get that? Play for Liverpool, Well, a couple of things happened in those 4 games. The Champions League matches away at quite a quiet stadium in Turkey. It's Galatasaray, was it? So what was that like? What was it intimidating to play in that atmosphere, and how were the rest of the players with you on that day?
No, the players were great. Obviously, you had your Carragher's, your Gerrards and people like that, and they were fantastic with the lads. And listen, they've got standards as well, so you have to sort of meet them standards. As long as you've done that, they were fine with you. It was very intimidating. It was kind of scary, but I'd say within that game, Liverpool had already qualified through the group stages, so there was no real pressure for us, because there was a few of us that played. Me, Danny Guthrie, Mickey Roque. And I think that's out the academy sort of lot. But it was a surreal moment when the Champions League, I know it's a cliche again when I go back, but the Champions League music comes on and you're like, oh my God, I'm standing here on the pitch, and the Ataturk, and you're playing against Galatasaray. It's just unbelievable.
Yeah, and there's obviously to say there are a couple more games coming up, but there was one against Arsenal and where Julio Baptiste scored quite a few goals. What was that like? Because it was a mad game to watch. I remember it just felt like every time anyone attacked, there was a goal, which probably isn't great for a defender to be part of. But what was that game like? And was it frustrating that so many goals were going in, or was it just like a whirlwind to be part of?
Do you know what? Exactly what you say. It's like a whirlwind. Can't even really remember it. And it was not so long ago. I sat with my son watching back on it, and he was watching Baptiste scored 4 goals, and he was calling me crap. He was saying, "You're crap, he scored 4 goals past you." And I look back at it and just go, I can't even remember it. It was a whirlwind, as you say, it was a whirlwind, because it was quite a big game. I think it was to go through to the quarterfinals, so it might have been something like that. And at Anfield, Arsenal, and the players they had out and stuff like that. And as I say, it was just before your eyes. It gone. And listen, I look back at it now and I can put my hands up and say I didn't have the best of games in that game, but it's just something to learn from. It's part of your journey. It's an experience, and as I say again, go back to no one can take that away from me, playing against Arsenal and Anfield in front of a full house.
Yeah.
So there's the pros and cons of it, but it is what it is. That's football.
Yeah, and then obviously that's the 4 appearances you make, and so your debut, you've got a Champions League experience, you've got a cup experience. You've ticked a lot of boxes in a short amount of time. But was there a moment when you felt I need to go and play football, or was it the club that said to you, you need to leave? I think there was a little bit of both. Off the back end of that, of me making my debut within that season and playing them few games, the 4 games, I went on loan in the Championship to Hull and finished the back end of the back end of the season off there, and I really enjoyed it, being involved, because I had a little taste of it obviously with the games I had for Liverpool, and then going back into the first team environment on Hull, I had a taste of it, and it was something that I wanted to do, play first team football. And listen, I've always been honest to myself first and foremost in football, and you've got to be realistic, and I knew there was I knew they weren't an opportunity for me in Liverpool, and I knew I weren't good enough at that time. So it was a conversation that I had to have with me, my family, and my representatives who looked after me. And at the back end of that, the season finished, come back, done the pre-season with Liverpool and all that, and you can see all the players coming in and stuff like that, which didn't really affect me because I knew at that point I weren't good enough to play in the first team. And then Yeovil come in for me on loan, and they were coming off the back end of losing in the playoff final in League One, so they were sort of on the up, and I agreed to go to Yeovil without really knowing where it was. Well, and then I looked at where it was and I was like, oh my God, what have I got myself into? But went down there and then done, I think it was half a season on loan, and then they wanted to buy me, so then they bought me from Liverpool, and then obviously I was there for another 12 months, and then that's when my career really kicked on. Adam Hamill was here last time, the last footballer we had in, and he was saying like he felt it was more beneficial for him to go and play football. Like obviously I think he had 3 or 4 loan spells before he made that. Yours was a bit of a shorter decision, but obviously I know you work still in the game now. For players in your position, how long do you reckon they should wait for an opportunity till they go on loan or till they look for a transfer? And like, what do you reckon the best course of progression was? And if you could speak to yourself, would you do what you did, or would you have done it earlier or waited longer?
Firstly, for myself, I wouldn't have changed anything in my career. It is what it is, and I was fortunate enough to have a great career. And I look back at it, and as you say, we're talking about it now, and it was probably the right time for me to go. I got my dream, which was to play for Liverpool, and after that I knew where I was at. I probably had to drop down and find more experience and develop and all that other stuff that comes with it. I went and done that, and then got myself back up there. So as I say, I was really realistic with myself. I knew where I was at. And then for young players, I just think it depends on your situation at the club. But for me, I'm all about going out there and getting first team experience. from, obviously depends physically where you are and mentally in a young academy player's journey. You've got to take all them things into consideration. Are they ready to go out and play on loan and stuff like that? So that's why I say depends on the situation. But if you are and you do have the opportunity and you're in a place where you're not playing but you are training around the first team, for me, I'd go out and play them games to get that experience. Definitely, whether or not that helps you to come back and go on into the first team at the club you're at, or whether it helps you in the long run for yourself at another club.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to say you're wrong. I'm just offering an alternative. So, time of recording, the deadline day's just gone. This will come out next week. Bobby Clark went to Red Bull Salzburg in the summer, went on a permanent deal. Bajcetic went on a loan. Pep Linders has been sacked. Vitor Matos has been sacked. Bajcetic didn't like it's gone. And Bobby Clark's just posted like a black and white picture on his Twitter, which is exactly what he did in the summer when he ended up leaving Liverpool. Yeah. So, is there enough support in place for players who maybe don't make the right decision? Do you reckon there's someone for Liverpool now who's going to be helping him, or is it almost like it's your fault you've made that decision, now he's going to try and learn from it? Or what's your opinion?
Definitely nowadays there's so much support. Like at clubs now, you'll have actual loan managers who just look at the players who are out on loan, or chooses where they go on loan, obviously to match up with what the club wants for them. So it's not a case of just anybody coming. Back in my day, it was just a case of really go out on loan. But now everything's really prepared for them, organised. So I get what you're saying in terms of it doesn't work out sometimes, but that's just football. So you can go to another club, it doesn't work out, that's just football. But in terms of going out on loan, in all the top clubs now, they do it properly. They'll match them to the clubs where they're meant to go. You look at young Jayden Danns now, he's just gone to Sunderland, top of the third or fourth in the league, are they, going for playoffs, play similar, pass nice football. So they've gone, yeah, that'll probably benefit him to go there. They're not going, all right, well, we'll put him in, say, for example, at Millwall, where they're just launching it up to the strikers and playing hoop ball or whatever. I'm not saying they do that, and just in the past they have played like that. So that would not benefit him. So I do think the support is definitely there. If a loan's not working for that player, the loan manager will come in and say, all right, let's cancel that loan, let's find another one that might work for you. And it's mad, because I've been going into the academy and spending a little bit of time with Alex, Nick Marsh and people like that, and it's interesting to see how they see it and what they think about the loan deals and stuff like that. And as I say, there's a lot of preparation, a lot of thought that goes into it. It's not a case of just, you're going out on loan. If it's right for you, they will find the right place. If it's not right for you, you won't go. Yeah.
That's bad. I wasn't disagreeing. I was just offering the opposite. So I'm going to ask you a few questions about the rest of your career, which obviously there's a lot bigger and better things to follow from Liverpool. But I want to touch on one moment from a Liverpool fan perspective of scoring a penalty at Old Trafford. It wasn't the one that won it, but I think obviously they missed the next one. You go through. There's a video of you laughing at their fans, I think, after you scored. How was that? To do that moment.
I do think I won it because it was the last person. That's my claim to fame. Yeah, obviously the Manchester lot were giving me a bit, your scouts and all that and whatever. And listen, some of my family live in Manchester, and I have ties over in Manchester, family based. But it was unreal to score a penalty at Old Trafford, to go through to the next round of the cup and give them a little bit. I was absolutely buzzing with that one, yeah. And
although obviously you're 100% doing it for Middlesbrough, was there a bit of the Liverpool fan who scored that pen as well?
Oh, 1,000,000%, yeah. 1,000,000%. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. And then obviously we'll talk about some other big things that you did in your career. You played under a lot of big managers, you've already mentioned some. Who did you love playing for the most?
Probably Neil Warnock. I say it all the time, but it's where I had my most success and spent a lot of time with them at different clubs. And funny enough, I spoke to him yesterday. Still have that sort of relationship with him, and he was a great fella, great manager, and definitely Neil Warnock. Yeah,
because I think with him as well, it seems to be that everyone who doesn't support the team he managed or hasn't played under it doesn't like him, doesn't like what he does. But it's the total flip side for everyone who's involved in it. So Why is that? Maybe because you can see, but they just from an outside perspective, he just bullies people. He's too loud on the sideline. He's not a nice bloke. He did the alleged youth thing we had in with Bradley Orr. Yeah. But then I've had the total opposite. Everyone who's played under him's loved him. So just trying to explain what it is that it makes him special.
Is my management for the, not just for you as an individual, for the whole squad. He sort of has his 3 or 4 players that he goes to, and then he will trust them to run the dressing room and leave them. And he'll just take care of everything else then. But even in terms of like days off, families, and doing stuff as a team, and just brings everyone together. And I don't know how he does it. People say it to me all the time. I don't know how he does it. Only he'll know. But I remember sitting in changing rooms with him, and he's finished his team talks and stuff like that. And you look round and you can see everyone's ready to run through brick walls for him. And you can see why he's had the success. If you're in them dressing rooms, you can see what he does to get them players to give everything for him, and they do. And that's why he's had so many promotions and been so successful as a manager. Yeah,
and you watch the documentaries that he does when you got to die for 3 points and all stuff like that. Is that day in, day out? Is that what he's like, or is he playing up the cameras, or is he more than that when the cameras aren't there?
No, I think he's what you see is what you get with him. Do you know what? It was funny because I was with his son yesterday, and I said I don't think he realises how funny he actually is, because he's just who he is. But he's generally a funny fella, and as you said, he's like Marmite. Some people like him, some people don't. But I think if you work with him, the majority of people will like him.
Yeah.
Outside of it, I think he's a little bit of a showman in terms of when he's to other clubs or referees or whatever, but what he's got inside, he knows what he's got.
Yeah. And then the other side of that is the manager that it didn't work under and didn't get the best out of you.
Listen, I'm a very accountable person. I always put it. Listen, managers are there to help you and tactics side of it and stuff like that, but performance based is on me, on the player. Obviously, there's things that can help and can decide against how you're going to perform, but in general, it's on me as a player. So I'll never put performances or anything down to a manager in terms of where I've had a bad time, or I just think that's football. You go through bad spells, you have good spells and stuff like that. But I'd say as a relationship with each other, that's where I'd say on the manager, whether they've got the best out of me or they haven't, because if you've got somebody's trust, you can get the best out of them in so many different ways. So I'd say the only other person that I had a couple of run-ins in was Neil Harris when he come in at Cardiff. And that was because I didn't felt I got the honesty and the clarity that I wanted from him. And that was it. It was no real big thing, but the relationship weren't there. Every other manager I've had good relationships with, they've had my trust, I've got theirs. Do you know what I mean? And it's worked both ways. But in general, all of them have been all right.
Yeah. And if I can put one name to you, in Steve Evans at Rotherham. I think again we had Adam Hamlin, and he was not the biggest fan of him. Again, he seems like another Marmite character where certain players click with him, certain players don't. What was he like to play with?
Do you know what? I only had probably 6 weeks with him. And you know, before he come in, when I've played against him, I've had a couple of run-ins with him. Like we've had a bit of back and forth on the side while I've been on the pitch and stuff like that. And I'll never forget the first day I come in, and I knew he was the manager, and the assistant manager come to me as soon as I walked through the door and said, "The gaffer wants you." I was like, "Fuck's sake, what's going on here? What's happening here?" So I sat there, and I in the back of my mind, I remember one exchange we had, and I said something, like I shouted something bad at him, and I was like, I hope he just doesn't remember this. To be fair, I weren't that bothered. I was coming to the back of the end of my career. It wouldn't have made no difference to me either way, do you know what I mean? And to be fair, he called me in and he said it straight away. He said, "I remember when you said this to me." But he had a laugh and a joke about it. But listen, I didn't work enough with him to make a No, I didn't. I couldn't say. When I was there, it was what it was. It was just I went in, trained, and done. He didn't pay me any mind. I didn't pay him any mind. But obviously, all the stories and stuff you hear about him is, I couldn't work with someone like that. Yeah. But what I will say, I couldn't work. Of the stories that you heard, I thought it was going to be a lot worse. Maybe it weren't, because it was the back end of the season when he come in. He must have just thought, let's just get through this season, and then I'll start my own thing. But at the time when he come into Rotherham, there was some big characters in there. So there was like me, Sean Morrison, Grant Hall, all players who've gone on and played had good careers in the Champ or the Premier League and that. So my mentality was, if he come in and he spoke to me in a certain way, I'd be standing up and saying, "Who do you think you're talking to?" sort of thing. But it was never that.
Yeah.
So as I say, it is what it is.
Yeah. Okay. And then what's the worst thing that maybe a manager said to you then? Is that like when they're not honest with you, or is it like they've said something bad in terms of not getting the best out of you? Like, do you react well to someone saying you played terrible then? Yeah. If you don't think he did, or do you know what I mean? Or what's the worst advice or worst thing someone said to you?
No, I don't mind that. I don't mind. As you say, football's a game of opinions, and as I say, I'm quite honest with myself. And if a manager did say to me, "You didn't play well," I'll say, "No problem. I'll come in the office on Monday and we'll go through what you think." And I was quite open like that. Do you know what I mean? I was pretty much wanted to know if I'd had a bad game, what you thought I'd done wrong. But more often than not, I'd know within myself. But the worst thing somebody's probably said to me is, I go back to a time when a manager offered me a contract, and then when I went back to see him like a few weeks later, he said, "What are you talking about?" I was just like, I couldn't, mate. I thought I was going mad. It baffled me, and I went mad because I thought, you're taking the piss out of me. Like, going on as if I've made something up. I know for a fact what you said to me, but then when it's come to it, it's been like nothing got said.
Yeah.
So, I took it the wrong way, but I know exactly what got said. That was probably the worst ever time or thing that's happened to me.
You say who that was or not?
No, I'll just leave that one alone.
But like, you just, honesty it seems to be like the most. Because I've spoken to a few players, it always seems to be, you don't mind being told, I don't like you, I'm not playing you, you're not good enough. It's when they're just like, they skirt around that and don't pick you. And does that then lead to people talking about each other, and that's how you lose the dressing room, when you're not honest with all the players? Or do you think that you do? Because again, we've had Bradley always talk about Untitled Chapter again with Neil Warnock, where he just had to give him special treatment and it paid off on the pitch. So is it all like different methods for different players, and that's why it's so hard? Or do you think if you're just honest with everyone, it works?
Yeah, definitely. Listen, everyone's different. You talk, you're managing a team of 25, 30 players, so it must be so hard to be a manager, because individually you're looking at all these players and thinking, right, how am I going to get the best out of him? How am I going to manage him? And everybody, all different characters, personalities, people from all over the world. That's why it's so difficult. But as you said then, for me, it was just honesty. I as long as you were honest with me, I mightn't be happy for the 5 minutes of it, but once I digest it, I'll be like, okay, no problem. Like, that's what he thinks, that's fine. Football is a game of opinions. You could go to one manager, he'll tell you you're crap, and another manager will love you, he'll sign you. So it is what it is. So, but as long as you knew that, and you weren't going around, taking the piss out of you, basically, like, it was fine. It's all right.
Yeah. And if we go back to Neil Warnock, then there's a story I heard about you in the dugout. I don't want to give the story away. Yeah. Where I think there's a playing bonus, and he agreed to.
I'm not sure about that one.
Well, I'll tell it here. But so I've got you and him were on the bench, and he said he put you on for the last few minutes when you were winning quite comfortably if you'd split your appearance fee with him. Do you know if that's true, or do you remember that?
No, I don't. Listen, Neil was a funny man, and he would make jokes and like that, but it's not something I can actually remember him doing. Yeah. You know what I mean? He might have said it or whatever, but it's not something. You'd have so many jokes with him over stuff like that. Yeah.
Okay, and then just moving on, then obviously you went to many different clubs. Was there a dressing room that was particularly fiery or particularly hard to get in with? Because obviously you said how well Neil Warnock's ones were. Was there other ones that it got uncomfortable, or did you think that you've always been in quite harmonious dressing rooms?
No, I've been in good dressing rooms. I think the most uncomfortable dressing room I was probably in was when I was at Liverpool, and that was just through fear and being probably scared, and it weren't like enjoyable. A dressing room is a proper enjoyable environment to be in, by the way, because you're having so much laughs, jokes. There's people in there. Some people would just be taking the piss out of others or whatever. But when I went into the Liverpool dressing room, I was terrified. I was just like, didn't know where to be or say or what to say or whatever. And that was just, I think that was just normal, and that was just being scared of what Gerrard might think of me or whatever. Do you know what I mean? And I look back at it now and I think he should never have been like that, because it probably hindered me a little bit because you've got to be comfortable somewhere to get the best out of it. But I'll probably say that, not through anything of people being bad on it, and just through my own fears. Yeah,
because David Raven was in and he said something very similar in that he wished he could just go back and tell himself you're in that dressing room because you deserve to be there.
Yeah,
so
definitely,
just make the most of it.
Yeah.
But obviously, that's a lot easier said to do, especially when you're at your youngest of your whole career as well, who are the biggest characters that you share the dressing room with, then people who made you laugh?
I've had so many, honestly. I think I've been at 10 clubs, so... I go from my favourite dressing room, or the best dressing room, and I'd say Sean Morrison's and your Sol Bambas, Aaron Gunnarson's, people like that, really top people to share a dressing room with. You could be serious when things needed to be serious, and you could have a laugh. And when more often than not, we'd have a laugh. But yeah, it was a fantastic dressing room, and I'd say them players that are sort of named there, they're like proper leaders of a dressing room. And as I say, they're serious when it's time to get serious, and when you could have a laugh, we'd have a laugh.
Yeah, and that's what obviously that must make going to work every day a lot more enjoyable.
You still love going in. You still, because you just think what's going to happen today.
Yeah. And obviously when you're doing well as well, which I was at that time. Yeah. And then the biggest fight you've ever seen in a dressing room, obviously you don't have to say who it was, or like maybe harshest words against each other or something like that.
Bloody hell, I'm trying to think now.
Or is that something that happens often?
Nah, you might get a little bit of back and forth, but never really come to blows. Yeah. Don't think I've seen a fight, to be honest with you, in the changing room. I probably have, but not that I can remember. It weren't really a fight, but Sol Bamba, he used to, when he got heated, he used to go off, and that'll probably be because we've been playing crap for the first half. He'd come in and go absolutely sick or go mad, or he'd have a bit of back and forth with one of the coaches or something like that. And when he got mad, it was like, oh, bloody hell. So probably someone like Sol, but as I say, it was never like a fight.
Yeah.
Really, never no.
Yeah. And then maybe there's a biggest wind-up merchant or joker. Is there someone who comes to mind with that as well?
I used to be a little bit of a wind-up merchant within the changing rooms. Yeah, same yourself.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be doing all the stupid stuff like doing stuff to people's clothes or anything like that, but I'd have a laugh and a joke in different ways. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Again, that all must be what's needed for a good dressing room to exist. And then just going on again, who do you think was your most difficult opponent to play against? So obviously most of your career be right back on against left wingers, would it be mostly? So who is someone that you always looked at? Maybe like an obvious one and a surprise one maybe as well.
I didn't enjoy playing against Jota. He always scored against me when he was at Wolves. And another player who always used to score against me was Ryan Sessegnon for Fulham. But actually, the hardest opponent was probably Adama Traore or probably Hazard. Yeah, probably Hazard, yeah. Yeah,
I could see they're pretty self-explanatory, all them. But mate, what did you enjoy coming up against post? Like a slow winger was going to be tricky trying to take you on, a physical one, or one with all the pace.
Well, I wish that I'd come up against slow wingers, but we weren't very often that happened, especially in the Premier League and in the championships at that levels. But listen, the players are that good. It's difficult. It is difficult when you 1v1 with a right-footed left winger who can come inside and shoot or go down the line and whip one in. Adam Amell's a bit like that. He's tricky. To tell you what, Adam Amell weren't that quick, but he was really good at dribbling the ball, and he could come in on his right and shoot, and he could go down the left, down the byline and cross one in. Yeah. So it was. It's one of them. I probably prefer to play against the left-footed, left-sided winger.
You know what they're doing.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, and then Adama Traore, was he all baby oiled up when he played against you?
Yeah,
Is that hard to deal with? Or
he's just a monster. He's just a monster, and we're talking 5-6 years ago when he was a lot younger, probably a lot quicker, and he was just like a train. There was no stopping him.
Yeah.
Once he got going, I used to just try and smash him before he could get running.
That way.
It did a couple of times, yeah.
Very great. And then maybe a lesser known player who shines in training but doesn't always, maybe that doesn't do it on the Saturday, but someone who used to watching training think, wow, they're not as appreciated as they should be.
Not as appreciated, or
just whatever you thought, because a lot of the Liverpool players, I don't think this is that obvious, that this a surprise. They say Firmino's unbelievable in training, which obviously he would be, but they always put him up there at the very top. So there's someone like that who was liked but you think should have been at the very top from what they could do?
In training, some of the best things I've seen was from Mateus Pereira from West Brom, and then he will produce it in a game. He was top. He was really good at West Brom, and I think he's playing out in Saudi or somewhere at the minute now. But he got a massive move from West Brom when we were in the Premier League over to Saudi or somewhere like that. But he was good. He was a good trainer, and he was a good player in the game. But you can get people who are unbelievable in training, and then you put them out there on a Saturday and they're nowhere near it. So you call them training ground players, and there's or 5-a-side players. You get so many of them. But this guy was top level.
He did both, yeah. And just on Saturday, well, you've mentioned it. How do you feel about people making the move there? And is there a certain level or talent you have to be where you shouldn't take that move, or do you think anyone is within their right to do it?
Listen, I always say, in football, everyone's got different motivations. So it's neither here or there what I think. It's because somebody's motivation could be to earn that much money and set their families up for life. Somebody's motivation could be to go and win the Premier League. There's no right and wrong, because somebody's motivation doesn't go with yours. So for me, it is what it is. It depends what your motivation is. If your motivation as a footballer is to go and earn the most money you can, then go to Saudi, because that's where you're going to earn the most money, and then you've achieved everything that you set out to. So for you, it's a win, isn't it? Yeah. But if your motivation's to be the best player in the world or whatever, then it's probably not the right thing to do to go to Saudi. So as I said, it just depends what motivates you.
Yeah. And would you have taken the move, let's say, at the very start when you're still at Liverpool, if you get offered it then? If you're still at Liverpool, let's say like Trent is now, we're in a contract position, I won't ask you what you do with him, but would you have taken it then, and then maybe toward the end of your career? I'm guessing that'd be a lot more easy decision to make.
Well, it's difficult to say that now, because in hindsight, like you look at Trent, he's probably one of the best fullbacks in the world. He's going to go to wherever he's going to go, or if he's going to stay at Liverpool, he's going to earn absolutely fortunes. For me, I would never get to them heights, so it'd give me something to think about. Do you know what I mean? Even though it'd be difficult, because we're talking about in hindsight, aren't we? So I'm so proud of what I've gone through my career now and what I've achieved, but that's only because I've done it. So it's one of them, like, I don't know.
But did you ever get a big money contract that you chose to play football or a better team instead of?
To be fair, at one point I was going to go out to China, and then for different reasons with my family and stuff like that, I didn't go, and it was quite lucky that I didn't go, to be fair, because it was around the time as COVID hit, and you know what it was like then and especially over there in China, what it was like. So yeah, I was quite close to going to over there, but that's about it really.
And we'll move on. I'll keep putting the difficult questions here. What's the most underrated quality that a defender needs to be good, or a fullback needs to be good?
The fullback and the defender, that's two different things.
Pick either. Obviously,
as a fullback, I just say to stop the cross. You don't see anyone do it no more. And for me, as a young fullback, I know the game's evolved so much. We were always drummed, stop the cross. And as a defender, I'd say block shots. You know, like get your body in front of a shot or whatever that may be. But I think they're really underrated, where nobody real. You know, if at Anfield now, if someone's running down to make a cross and someone blocks it, it's not really a exciting thing, is it? Where everyone will go, whatever. Yeah. But for me, it is.
That's when you stand up.
Yeah, I'll be like, do you know what I mean? So, yeah, things like that.
Yeah, okay. Great. You played in Cardiff's promotion season to the Premier League. Obviously, it took you a while to get back to the Premier. Obviously, you didn't play in the Premier League with Liverpool, but obviously being at the top tier. What was that like to go back to the top tier and obviously not just get promoted, be part of a Premier League team as well?
It was like a dream come true again. You know, like, as I say, I made my debut for Liverpool, but I never got to play in the Premier League for Liverpool. But that was one of my dreams, to play in the Premier League, but it just went with Liverpool. So for me, it's still unbelievable. When we did do it, I thought my time, I thought we weren't coming, and it finished. You know, I must have been 30, 31 at the time, which is old to go into the Premier League. So yeah, it was an unbelievable achievement, and even more unbelievable to go on into the Premier League and be part of that and play games in it.
Yeah, and it sounds like a stupid question, but how hard is the Premier League? Is it is it a massive step up from the Championship?
Yeah, it's the best league in the world, bar none. Just everybody's fast, strong, quality. You know, it really is a top league. And listen, I love the Championship. I probably love the Championship more than the Premier League, not because just what it gives you. It's relentless. Everyone beats each other. It's not like, you know, where in the Premier League, probably now you can more or less tell what's going to happen. Well, to be fair, this season's been a little bit different, but as a Liverpool supporter, you can sort of tell, you know, you were going to whatever. But yeah, it's different level.
And then obviously the stadiums you're going to, the Championship is still massive stadiums, big sellouts, whatever. But pretty much every week, everywhere is a sellout in the Premier League. Well, what was it? Maybe a surprising atmosphere that you played in, going to an away game where you thought, I didn't think this would be as difficult as it is, or as intimidating as it is?
I never thought it wouldn't, but I love going up to Newcastle. Their fans were amazing. Where else? Crystal Palace had a good atmosphere in there, but probably Newcastle for me. Yeah. In the Premier League anyway. Yeah.
And then you said that was a box you wanted to tick. Did it live up to your expectations, being a Premier League player? Like, was it everything you expected, or was it more rewarding, more difficult, whatever?
No, it was everything and more. It was unbelievable. You know, getting to go. The only thing that I regret is I didn't actually get to go and play at Anfield, because I was injured once, and then the next time I went round with West Brom, I don't think I was in the squad. So that's one thing that would have been amazing. I got to play against Liverpool at Cardiff, and I was on the bench for Liverpool when Alisson scored and stuff like that. So that was amazing, but I never actually got to go to Anfield and play against Liverpool, which would have been unbelievable to play in. I say Newcastle now in terms of the best atmosphere. That's just because I never played at Liverpool as a player.
Yeah.
But obviously I go to the majority of the home games now, and the best stadium in the world, the best fans in the world. So yeah, ticked all the boxes and more, mate. It was absolutely unbelievable. And as I say, now I've had loads of time to reflect back on my career. I look back at it and just think it's an unbelievable achievement, and what you've done to go on and play in the Premier League is class.
Yeah, definitely. I don't need to say it, but you're definitely right. I've got another decision I want to ask you about. It was West Brom. Brandon Thomas Asante handball was given against you for outside the box. Can you talk us through that and maybe talk about the quality of referees at the end of it?
I generally think, I'm being deadly honest now, I generally think that's probably one of the worst decisions I've ever seen. Or not ever seen. I think that's probably the worst decision in football.
Well, for someone who doesn't know what it is, can you describe the whole incident for us? And then,
well, we were playing obviously against West Brom, and Brandon Asante took a shot, I think, and I'm like 3-4 yards easy outside the box, and I'm quite close to him, and it's hit me hand. Whether or not you want to call that handball, yes or no, whatever, that's just an opinion, whatever. The referee thinks it was handball. It actually hit me head and then hit my hand. So I've heard the whistle go and I thought, he's give handball. Okay, no problem. He's give handball. You've got to get on with that decision. He's give that decision. And then I seen him pointing at the spot for a penalty. And I'm thinking in my head, and as the game's going, one of the lads have clocked someone in the box or something like that's gone on in the box, because there's no way that can be a penalty from what I done. So the referee's like, no, handball. Like, but what baffled me was the assistant referee was the linesman, was there. The assistant was there, and even it was funny because, well, I can say it was funny because it was quite a lot of the lads that I'd been teammates with at West Brom. They were like, "Oh, nice one for giving us a pen, lad." Like, I think they needed the win or something like that. And I'm like, "Nah, I'm generally fuming here. Like, it's not funny." Like, and then to be fair, after he'd come into the changing room and apologised, I was like, "Mate, what the? We needed to win. We were like bottom of the champ, so it went against us." And then come in and said sorry, and you're like, "How can you come in here and say sorry? It's embarrassing what's just happened out there." So obviously it's all that crap where they send a letter of apologies from the whatever, and it doesn't mean nothing, does it? You just scrunch it up and put it in the bin. It is what it is. But yeah, I reckon that's the worst decision in football. It'd be hard for you to find me a better one. I think. Yeah.
Maybe the Lewis Diaz offside, someone would argue with, but I think
which one's that?
The one that was a goal and they give it offside because VAR messed up. But I think in terms of an actual referee decision, it was terrible. Like, talk about referees. Then, do you? Again, the jump in Premier League, did you find that the standard of refereeing was a lot better? And obviously you played all your football here, but what do you think of the standard of refereeing in England?
Listen, I've always been one of them. It is what it is, because I've never played on the far. So it's always been just get on with, like, if he's give it, you might say to him, fucking hell, ref, like, what the hell was that? Unless it's a really bad one, like that handball situation or whatever. But usually it's, you get your odd referee where you go, he's a bit, you know what I mean? But for me, it is what it is. I've never played on the VAR, so it's totally different to when I look at the standard of refereeing now in the Premier League and then into the Championship, because it's two total different things. But what I will say is, I did prefer it that way in terms of without VAR, and you just have to deal. So if you go back years ago when a referee had to give a decision, whether it be bad or good or whatever, you just have to get on with it. It is what it is, unless it's a real bad one. And back then they weren't too much in them, was there? You could always argue a case, well, all right, well, it is a free kick or whatever. But now with VAR, you're going into fine detail. So for me, if somebody's offside by that much, even on as an opposite player playing back then, I wouldn't. You don't care, do you? Unless it's offside like that.
It's hard to see, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But you're talking like that now, and it's. I don't like it. It is what it is, but obviously has its pros and cons. But I think if you just, it'd be hard to do now. But if you had the mentality of, listen, whatever, it is what it is. It's gone for us. It hasn't gone for us, and you just got to crack on.
Yeah. If you could change one moment in your career, what would it be?
Oh, probably. Listen, I always say I'd never change anything in my career. But when I look back and reflect on things that happened in my career where I might have thought I might have given that a second thing, is probably leaving Leicester. At the time I left Leicester. I left even though I played every game in that season. Then come the back of it, I left to go to Leeds. I'll probably think about it more so than just jumping on board with it, you know what I mean? Yeah. That's probably the only thing.
Yeah, and then what's one piece of advice that if you could give your breaking through Liverpool 2006, the start of that season, if you could go and speak to yourself now, it could be about anything that's coming up in the career, what would you say to yourself?
Probably just express yourself more. Don't be scared. Don't play within. I think today's era of young players has totally changed. I think they thrive with a lot of confidence and self-motivation and belief and stuff like that. I was the opposite. I was thinking, why am I here, sort of thing. Never thought, as you said before, stay raving. Thinking that might just be different eras. I don't know, whatever that may be. I always thought like, oh, don't think I should be a bit scared to do that or scared to do this. And as you get older, everything changes. And as I say, that comes with a lot of experience and being in different changing rooms, meeting different people. But for me, it was just express yourself, be confident, have belief, enjoy it. Know that you're meant to be there, because if you weren't, you wouldn't, trust me.
Yeah.
So probably that.
Yeah. Okay. And then your career, you were saying before, you haven't formally retired.
Yeah. You
played a full season of Championship football and then stopped. Why aren't you still playing? What's the future hold, and what are you doing today?
I'm probably still not playing just because. Probably just not that I had enough of it, because I love football. It's just that I think I got to a point where I achieved everything that I set out. And it weren't about just playing for the sake of it. And family commitments in terms of my son's on his journey playing football, daughter plays tennis. You know, I want to be around them as they're going on their journey. But I definitely still think I could play now, still keep myself fit, and I could still play. And people have rang me to say, what are you doing? Are you still coming in? But to be fair, I haven't missed it. But this 6 months that I've had, I've just given myself to just have a little breather and reflect a lot on things, and gives me a chance to look at other things that I've wanted to do. I've done all my coaching badges up to the A licence. I've been in at Liverpool before Christmas quite a lot with the under 14s in terms of just watching over, mentoring sort of things. Spent some times with your Alex Inglethorpes and your Nick Marches, which has been great. And for me, in this 6 months, I've just been gathering information, and I don't know what I'm going to do with it yet. And that can be all over, like that'd be academy, and then I'll be off at games on a weekend watching games. I'll be with friends who are agents and players that I know, be speaking to them all the time in sort of mentorship, all different types of things. So I haven't really put my finger on it yet, but I will be involved in football in some sort of aspect, which I am now still, but I just haven't decided that exact thing that I want to do.
Yeah. And do you still play? Have you played recently?
Do you know what?
Either side, your mates, Sunday League?
No, because I seen something the other day, and I seen Alan Shearer. Someone said to Alan Shearer, "Do you still play football?" He said, "I used to with my mates," and then I seen all of them like snapping their knees and pulling their hamstrings and all that. And he was like, "What am I doing? Like, there's no need, no need." But not really. I play with my lad all the time. Like, I play football with my lad, but I haven't had a match or anything like that, no.
Our six-a-side team Monday and Wednesday night in Wavertree. I'll take I'll message you on Instagram.
No problem.
Yeah. How will football remember you, or how do you want football to remember you?
Just as a good lad, as a consistent performer. I've never been one like loved all the. I just get on with with what I was doing. And listen, I knew what it was. As I go back to again, I knew what it was within all the teams that I played in. I knew what I was good at as a player. So yeah, probably just being, because I was an okay footballer, but just a good lad, yeah. Just like,
so you describe yourself as a 7 out of 10 every week,
yeah,
and that in a good way, and that is definitely what football fans want, what managers want.
Yeah.
Every I think James Milner's probably the very best 7 out of 10 every week,
definitely.
and he does it. So there's a lot to come from that. So you think that's your best thing? Is best asset was just always being there, and always being there.
My best asset was just consistency. You knew what you were going to get. I'd very rarely let you down, and I always say, you read some of these stuff and Lee Peltier, he's crap at this, he can't do that, he did this, he's that, he was terrible here. But I go back and look at how many games I played, and everywhere I went I played. So I played nearly 600 games, I think it is, all in all, which is unbelievable. Like, I think there was one stint at West Brom where I didn't play, and that's because I went in there in the January and they told me what it was. They told me we just need experience around the place. They were at top of the league, going for promotion. He said, he was so, and this is what I talk about honesty. Slaven Bilic rang me. He said, listen, I'm going to lose a right back. He said, there's one player at the minute who's doing fantastically well, but what I do need is somebody ready who can come in and fill that place and experience. And while you're not playing, just use your experience around the place with the lads and be a good person, whatever. So he told me exactly what it was. And I went, yes, Sam, no problem, let's go. And that's probably the only place I didn't play in my whole career.
But you knew it.
I knew what I was signing up for, yeah.
So, football history. Your first memory of football, or it doesn't have to be you playing, it could be as a fan, whatever. What's the first thing that comes to mind?
Your mates knocking on the door, saying play footy in the street. Because as I say, I started late until we moved house when I was about 9, and we moved into a street where there was loads of kids and stuff like that. And as you do when you're new, lads knock on the door, do you want to come out for a game of footy? That's my first memories of playing football.
Yeah, and then Liverpool fan, she said, did you go to match often as a kid?
Yeah, I go. Oh, not as a kid, no. Yeah. No, I always a Liverpool fan, but obviously didn't have the opportunities to go to a game until I signed for Liverpool, and then they'd give you tickets to go to the games. But other than before that, no. And
then, as that then part of the academy or whatever, what was the best game you went to as a fan? Then was it Istanbul season? Were you getting tickets then? Or?
Yeah, probably that. Yeah. Where did we go? The other one as well. Do you know what? I've been at all them sort of games. The Olympiacos, West Ham, when Gerrard scored them goals. So I've been to some top games, to be fair. Yeah, been some to real. The only one that I didn't go to, which was a massive game, was the Barcelona at Anfield not long ago when we got it back.
2019. Yeah. I was there, that was good. Yeah. Just if it helps. What's the best game that you've played in?
That's a tough question. Do you know what? I can't remember. Can't remember any game. It's mad because, when I look back, I just can't remember what games.
Or is there a performance of yours that comes to the fore that you think that's the best I've ever played? Is the one that you look back and thought like you had the winger in your pocket and you did the lock go?
I've done that loads of times. I'm trying to think. Probably my debut for Liverpool, just because of what it was. It was that, or probably I was going to say the promotion game for Cardiff going up, but that was a terrible game. No, probably my debut.
Yeah. Okay, great. What do you think is the best era of football?
In terms of...
So it can be like today, it can be the early noughties, the 90s, it can be further back.
In terms of what though?
Up to you, whatever you think.
Players, the style of football, because...
Whatever, if you could watch a game from any era, like, or you had to be in that season for the season, maybe one that you'd thrive in.
Listen, I love the Liverpool team from the past, from your Klopp era, going into the slot era now, but I do generally find, on a whole, not Liverpool, because I'm a Liverpool fan and I love the way they're playing at the minute. I know they've tinkered a few things, but I generally find the game's boring now. Going to what I can't watch City No, seriously, like generally I can't watch them. Like I'll put it on with all intentions to watch, and then it'll just bore me. And I know the way that football has gone. I was more crash bang wallop. Like I loved all that. You know what I mean? So I'd probably say 90s era, early 2000s. Yeah.
I think they're definitely more fun to watch, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's listen. I know the quality and all that is there now, but I was just more of a. I loved that, but listen, it's like I'm contradicting myself, but I love going to watch Liverpool because I think they're playing so well, and they have done for so many years now. I love watching them play.
Yeah. Okay. And the next one is quite a hard question. The best 5 players in football history.
In football history?
1 to 5 or 5 to 1 if possible to build the suspense, but you can just make for who you think the best 5 players ever.
Do you know what I will say on this is I always, when people ask me, I go only what I've seen or what I know, and this isn't like me just jumping on the bandwagon or whatever, because listen, I know Messi is probably the greatest ever player, but I've never seen him. So for me to say, do you know what I mean?
No, that's fine, yeah,
I just go off what my eyes have seen.
Yeah.
So, no, I can't do that. We'll just have to go. We'll have to go on in a generic 5. Anywhere across the world or just
anyone,
England?
anytime, any era. But you can, if you want to make it people you've seen or people still playing, whatever, it's up to you. But
obviously, for me, you've got your Messi, Ronaldo are in there. Steven Gerrard. That's 3. Zidane, Van Dijk.
Nice. So that's
5.
Messi, Ronaldo, Gerrard, Zidane, Van Dijk.
Yeah.
Okay, good. I like it. The best 5, a 5-a-side team of players you've played with, and feel free to put yourself in there if you want.
Nah. Goalkeeper, I'd probably say Kasper Schmeichel. At the back, Sol Bamba or Sean Morrison. I'll have to split that between them.
Half each.
On the left, I'd have Pereira. Right, that many players, honestly. There's that many players I can think of. Anthony Pilkington on the right. Then a striker, probably Jamie Vardy. Yeah.
And then a super sub to come on. It's going to still be you.
Yeah, I'll put myself as a sub.
Go and see all the lads, that's fine, yeah. All right, great. So that's the end of all the questions. I want to go into the debate.
The debate.
Yeah.
So we're going to ask you a question. We keep a tab of these and try and end these debates once and for all. So the first one is Gerrard, Lampard, Scholes, and can you put them in order for us as well?
For me, it's quite simple. It's Gerrard, Scholes, Lampard.
Okay, and why is Scholes better than Lampard then? Because I think people would have expected you to say Gerrard, but why?
I just think as a midfield, I know Lampard scored a lot of goals, but that's what he's sort of known for. Where Scholes could control a game. He had different, and I'm not saying Lampard couldn't pass the ball or whatever, but he was more of a player that I like to watch in terms of a midfielder, creating stuff and stuff like that.
Right. And then he played with Gerrard. Everyone knows how good he is. Could you maybe tell us something people don't know about him? Whether it can be just how good he is, how well he passes a ball, or
no. I remember when we first went into training, the way he passes a ball, I never heard a sound like it. It was like a not a click, like a gunshot, like a pop, and it's just the intensity of what he played. He just used to pop the ball into it, and he used to just make. When you've hit a ball nice and you hear a noise like a sweep. That was him every time.
Yeah.
But as a player, and you go back to them 3, is like, for me, everything they could do, Gerrard could do, but they couldn't do what Gerrard could do, if that makes sense.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean? He could do literally, for me, he could do everything. He could run, tackle, shoot, pass, win headers. Do you know what I mean? He was unbelievable.
Yeah, but that's every day in training as well. He never.
Yeah. Like his standards, his standards were so high. He's dead quiet though. He weren't like shouty or anything like that. He just demanded respect, standards just from his own performances.
Yeah. Okay. The next one then is Pele or Maradona.
To be honest, I'm not really bothered. In that, do you know what I mean? Like I never.
No, I try to ask this one because a lot of people don't like to do stuff from before they were watching footy, but like just maybe the legacy of which one maybe you think.
It's one of them where I've never really watched them. Do you know what I mean? I was too young and I've never gone back and watched them. But Pele or Maradona. I'll probably go Maradona just because he's a bit of a loon ball as well.
Yeah, I think that's what normally swings it for him. Yeah. Next one, I think I know what you're going to say again, but Messi or Ronaldo?
No, I'm Ronaldo.
Oh wait.
Yeah, I'm Ronaldo.
And why is Ronaldo better?
Listen, they're both best players in the world, and there's an argument for either of them. I just think Ronaldo's been all the different leagues and done it, where Messi's only done it in Spain. And don't get me wrong, the World Cups and stuff like that, but Ronaldo's done it everywhere he's been. I think that's the difference for me.
Yeah. Okay. And then if they're the best two players of the last 10, 15 years, who would you put in third place below them two?
Oh, so many. Probably Bellingham in there. No, I'm talking now, because I think he will go on to sort of be that, like what he's doing now. He's only going to get better. Gerrard or Bellingham.
Yeah, okay, that's right. And the next one, Salah or Hazard?
Depends what you're looking for. If you're looking at numbers, obviously Salah. But if you're looking at someone not influence the game, who excites you, it's probably Hazard. But listen, games are won on goals, so you're going to go with Salah.
Okay, and goalkeepers, Buffon, Casillas and Neuer. If you can put them in order for us.
I'm going to say Casillas just because I love Real Madrid when he played for them. Buffon and then Neuer.
Right, great. And then club or...
What would you went for?
Well, again, I'm being biased because we had John Achterberg there, the Liverpool goalkeeper coach, and he said Neuer. So I just feel like I should just trust his opinion.
Probably, yeah.
But no, I feel like Buffon and Casillas just looked cooler. Yeah. I think, and it's massive gloves, Buffon. And maybe probably Buffon, Neuer, then Casillas I'd go for. But club or country is the next one.
Club.
And is there any so many people I ask for Liverpool, I fully agree, it's all club over country always. Represent your country as a footballer though, I feel like must be like to get picked in that team is like you're the very best in that position of everyone I can pick. So is it different as a footballer compared to like being
1,000,000%? I think if we're delving into it and going deep into it, it probably comes back into being from Liverpool, being a Scouser.
Yep.
You know, the politics towards everything here in Liverpool, we're seen as our own culture, our own people, Scousers, aren't we? So I think if you're brought up in and around that, I can imagine if you asked many Scousers that sort of question, they'd say the same sort of thing. But that's not to take away getting picked to play for England is probably one of the best achievements you could possibly get. So yeah.
Still clubbed up.
Still clubbed up,
and then next two are a bit more difficult. Is the most overrated player of all time and the most underrated player that you can think of.
Overrated? Ooh. I'll tell you an overrated player that really disappointed me. Aquilani, I think it was,
yeah.
But only because when he come to Liverpool, I was expecting him to be because he was made out to be this superstar, weren't he? And he was absolutely rubbish. I didn't think he was good at all. And the most underrated, for me personally, Steve Finnan. I love Steve Finnan. And he was my first roommate when I made it into the bit, and he was great with me, and he was just a boss lad, just real boss lad. And we go back to, you said you heard me saying 7 out of 10 every week. That was him.
Yeah.
And he never let you down. He was so consistent. He just cracked on with it. You never heard anything from him. and I just thought he was so underrated.
Hasn't he fell off the face of the planet as well since he stopped playing? But I feel like no one just ever speak to him or anything. Have you ever
never come across him ever again in my life?
Yeah, it's like he's disappeared. But interesting approach. But yeah, no, I think he definitely another player that unless they play for you, you don't notice how good they're obviously playing with them is a lot better. Last two questions then is the greatest manager of all time.
It's got to be Klopp, Pep, between them two, for me. Not of all time. Listen, you could go back to your Paisleys and all that, but I always like to be relevant in terms of what I've seen. Do you know what I mean? Course, because I don't know too much into that of how they were. And listen, you could go on for days about managers from years and years ago. I just go from what I've seen, so I'm going to go say Pep or Klopp.
And have you come up against both of them?
Yeah.
Definitely. So what? It was COVID times. Obviously, the Alisson goal. Someone sent a question later. That'll be an extra time. We'll talk about that. But were it both COVID times that you was Guardiola then as well? Because I'm just
I played against Guardiola a few times.
Yes, and then just in terms of the COVID times, really, and that you can hear the managers more. What were they like on the sideline? Because Klopp seems to be a massive personality. Wound up a fourth official, and then Guardiola maybe not as loud, but obviously has a big impact. So were they influential from what you could hear on the pitch, or is it impossible?
I think they're influential. Obviously, two totally different characters. Klopp was all heart and passion, and I think that went into the team. Obviously, you could see Pep's more tactician and he's like a genius of football. I think the Premier League's changed so much in terms of football because of him, because of what he's brought to the table, and then everybody's had to follow on. I think the only one who didn't follow on, who thought, forget that, I'm going to go right at it, is Klopp. So that's why they were bet. You know what I mean? They're against each other, like in terms of who was the best for me, because Klopp didn't look at him and go, well, he's like, nah, I'm sticking to my rock and roll. Let's get out here, high press, full of energy. And Pep's gone, well, whatever, I'll beat you with my slow build, passing approach, you know. So, for me, they're both massively legends, managers, and influential to the teams.
Yeah, and if I just ask you just quickly, just thinking of it, then obviously playing it right back, being alongside managers a lot of the time, who is like the most, the loudest, I'll go for then maybe the easiest question, who's like the one that you're impressed with how much they kept talking at their players?
I wouldn't say I was impressed by it, but no, I mean, in terms of what I'm going to say is Steve Evans was probably the loudest in terms of just shouting a load of crap on, and I'm like, how's that helping anybody? Because you could just hear him just going on and on and on and on, just constantly. Whether or not the team he was in needed that or what, for me, I was just like, for me, if that was me and someone was on the side of the pitch just constantly yelling onto the pitch, I'd turn on and say, shut the... Do you know what I mean? Like, I didn't think it helped.
Yeah.
But that's the way he is and whatever. But yeah, it's probably him.
Yeah. Okay, right then. The last question is the greatest football team ever. So it can be for like a game, a season, a couple of weeks, a tournament, whatever. But who's the greatest team ever?
One of the teams I used to love watching was the Brazil team, when they had like Cafu, Roberto Carlos.
It's like 2002.
Rivaldo, Ronaldinho, Rubinho. I used to love that team. It was just so entertaining. It was just boss to watch.
Yeah.
I'd probably say them for me.
Yeah. Okay, boss. Well, that's the end of the chat. Thanks so much for coming. Is there anything that you want people watching to look at, follow, get involved with?
No.
Are you open for invitations for a new football team?
Yeah. Anyone who wants to invite me for a game, just let me know.
Yeah, okay. I'll be there. I've asked first. Thanks so much for coming in. I really do appreciate it.
No problem.
And we'll hopefully see you soon. Thanks very much. And we'll see you next time on the Football Historian Podcast.